Hello everyone, and welcome to my Law and Our American TV Show official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At the park, Summer meets Phyllis, Lucy, and Daniel. She tells them that Chance says Daniel needs a lawyer, and the proof is pretty damning. Phyllis pushes Daniel to hold it together. She reminds him that he's strong and promises him they're going to get through this. She's his mom and he knows what she's capable of. She never quits up, ever. And neither should you. Daniel thanks her. Lucy sits on the park bench, disturbed. Summer sits by her and Lucy worries that the police think her dad is guilty. Phyllis thinks Chance is just trying to offer her dad the best advice. Lucy fears her dad may get arrested. Summer reassures her. Daniel feels Chance should find out who is setting him up, and who would want to damage Heather in the first place. Phyllis walks away, and remembers Sharon yelling at Heather at the club. Phyllis tells her children that this is someone with a clear motive, and so clever, they could break into the apartment without anyone finding out. She contemplates, what if it were Sharon? Daniel believes that's a stretch. Phyllis asks, is it? She was present when she got in Heather's face, and Nick and her kids have been going on and on about her mental instability. It's unusual that she showed up at the apartment that Heather died. Instead of telling them, she told the police. She claimed that Heather was terrified of Daniel, and then all of this proof showed up at his flat. Daniel believes it's not enough to point the finger at her for murder. Phyllis intones, it's enough for me. Daniel thinks she wants to hang it on Sharon because of all the years they spent hating each other. Phyllis denies it. She's one of the only ones who knows what that woman is genuinely capable of. She flashes to her earlier fights with the blonde, including the brawl in the chocolate fountain. Phyllis recognizes her history with Sharon, but says if Daniel doesn't think the blonde capable of violence, he's terribly mistaken. She tried to kill me once. She recalls Sharon placing her in a coma for about a year with the tumble down the stairs. And we all know what she did to Cameron Kirsten Wright. Summer says that was self-defense. Phyllis says it means she's capable of it. She theorizes that maybe Heather and Sharon got into a quarrel, and it was an unfortunate accident. Daniel can't buy her framing him for murder. He doesn't need his mother going off. Phyllis understands why he'd assume she'd overreact, given the things she's done throughout her life. Lucy asks, what kind of things? Daniel claims her grandmother has taken things to the extreme from time to time. Phyllis sits Lucy down. Would you like to know about your grandmother? I have a few stories to tell you. Summer worried about Lucy hearing the story. Phyllis will keep it clean. She asks, where do I start? She tells Lucy that all she's done has been to protect individuals she loves. Let's start with the dead octopus. Daniel groans. Summer's mortified to hear that she put a dead octopus in Paul and Christine's honeymoon bed. Phyllis next informs her granddaughter that she's been known to go undercover. She flashes through some of her disguises. Summer and Daniel marvel that even they haven't heard some of these stories. Phyllis was terrified they'd judge her. Daniel says she's always done her best. They know that. Phyllis tears up. She's made mistakes. Starting with your father, she tells Daniel. It comes out that she stalked him. Phyllis tells Lucy it was complicated. She was determined to make their family work. She explains that almost losing Daniel when he was a baby drew them together. She flashes to Danny proposing. Lucy asks what occurred next. Phyllis contemplates, how do I explain? Daniel feels the truth is an excellent place to start. Phyllis tells Lucy she loved Danny very, very much, but he didn't love her back. She lied and twisted to keep her family together, and then somebody whose name rhymes with the moniker Cricket told him Daniel wasn't his biological child. She lost custody of her son. She flashbacks to a time she tried to see him. Lucy thinks this story depressing. Phyllis says it was sad for a long, long time. And then we found each other, right? Daniel smiles. They recall when they reconnected. So you and Grandpa never. Phyllis says no. She tried, but his heart belongs to Christine. She likes to think she's evolved and grown, mostly because of her kids. You guys are the reason that I keep going. Daniel begs her to recount Summer's story. Phyllis tells Lucy she'll have to tell her about Jack first. She wasn't his type. She thinks back on her early interaction with the Abbott. Phyllis smiles that they had so much fun. She flashes to displaying him her red underwear. She tells Lucy she didn't want to commit, but Jack had other ideas. She remembers him proposing and assuring her that she's part of the family. For a moment she was part of the Abbotts. Lucy asks what occurred. Phyllis sought to give Jack a child, and they discovered out she couldn't conceive. It was a shattering blow to him. Enter Diane, with Kyle. Ultimately, that's what ripped them apart. Phyllis remembers scenes from that awful time. Phyllis tells Lucy, "Oh, I loved him. There are just some hurdles you cannot get over." She looks to Summer. "Then I connected with your father." She recalls her first kiss with Nick and their early days together. Daniel says that was after the accident with Cassie. Phyllis claims she was lost. Nick was mourning, and they discovered each other. Daniel wonders that so much of their life can be traced back to one night. Summer says it's crazy to think that she might not have been born if not for her dad's anguish over Cassie. Phyllis claims that's not true. They have a really deep connection. She confesses it was complicated with Sharon and Jack, but then, surprise, Summer smiles. "I came along." Phyllis didn't know if Jack or Nick was her father. Lucy wonders, "What did you do?" Phyllis says she talked to her best friend and flashes to telling Michael she was pregnant. Summer knows that her dad didn't go back to Sharon. "He stayed with you." Phyllis says he did and remembers Nick calling her Mrs. Newman. Lucy asks what occurred next. Phyllis says what happened next was wonderful, but also the most terrible night of her life. She teases that it was a dark, stormy night. She went into labor. Nick rushed to grab the hospital bag, but he had to save Daniel's life after he skidded off the road. She became locked in an elevator at Newman Enterprises. With Jack, Lucy marvels that Jack had to deliver the baby of the guy she left him for. Phyllis says yes. Phyllis then touches on the tale of Sharon switching Summer's paternity test. "Anyway, Nick and I didn't live happily ever after, did we?" She sighs that it was such a lovely ride with him nevertheless. Lucy thinks her granny is great. Her dad and Summer are pretty lucky. She's a different kind of parent, but she loves her kids and will do everything for them. "Like mine." Lucy hugs Phyllis. Daniel says they should call it a night. Summer asks her mother what she'll do about Sharon. Phyllis doesn't know yet, but Daniel is innocent, and she will prove it. One thing she's learned in her life is that her internal radar is on target. Secondly, individuals will do strange things to acquire what they desire. She'll be careful and will gather information. She'll have to change Chance's mind and asks her kids not to attempt to stop her. Phyllis takes their hands. "We, as a family, will get through this together." They share a collective hug. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comment below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time.